MAGA really wanted us to believe that, much like, according to them, the entire Fedsurrection, January 6th, that also the person who put pipe bombs at the RNC and DNC headquarters on January 6th, 2021, that person was probably an inside job. There was a deep, all right, let's take a step back and then I have a big story to share with you. I think that when I say one of the things that really made the moral and political contrast between the Republican and Democratic Party so clear, like just painfully clear, why there wasn't even a thought in my mind as to whether I would support whoever the Democratic nominee was over Trump after the 2020 election, as I was kind of getting into politics. More, meaning starting a show and stuff. I've been into it for a long time. But why that was just not even a question, regardless of if people agreed with me on my economic policies or my more liberal views on all these different issues. I always said you could strip all that away, and still it's just so clear in this political moment that if you love our democratic republic, you can't support Trump. And the reason was because of how we saw him handle losing the 2020 election and everything that we've detailed in depth. And it feels like, despite a lot of his supporters saying, no, you don't understand, it really was stolen, or it really wasn't bad, the fake elector scheme, the trying to defraud voters, the stuff he was doing with Pence, the January 6th, all that stuff it's not what you think. Despite them trying to convince me they don't agree with that, they don't agree with my revelation post the 2020 election about take away every political issue and you just can't support Trump. You still can't if you care about the basic foundation of democracy. They wouldn't say they agree, but they kind of do agree. And how do I know that? Because they've worked for years now to lie to themselves about the details of that post-2020 election saga. All, I think, deeply, they probably don't know this, but subconsciously, all because they want to believe it wasn't Trump's fault. That everything that happened, the attack on our democracy and all the different schemes related, they just don't want to believe it was Trump's fault for lying about the election. And so that's why they hold on so deeply to the election lies. And then that's why they go with these theories that, like, the pipe bomber was an inside job, or January 6th was an inside job, or it was Nancy Pelosi's fault, or Nikki Haley, as Trump one time said, instead of Nancy Pelosi. Because in their heart, I think everyone, if you actually have a love for our democratic republic, everyone actually kind of understands, unless they just don't like democracy, that what Trump did was a war on it. And you couldn't justify supporting him unless you can come up with an excuse for why it wasn't really a war on our democracy. And that's what I think this is all about. To kind of answer, I'm sure, some of the questions you've had about why are they so obsessed with making out these stories to be the government did it, the federal, but not Trump while he was the federal government, but the people under him to frame him. Because they get that actually it is that big. It is that significant. It does make sense to put this at the foundation of your broader political ideology. Because if you're running around saying you can stay in office even if you lose elections and terminating the Constitution would be acceptable because of your view of how the election went and I can choose my own electors, then what is it that we're even doing here? What's this whole system for, and the peaceful transfer of power? What is all that for? So they get it. Y'all agree with me. I know, MAGA. You actually hear what I'm saying, and that's why you want to believe so badly it was someone else's fault instead of Trump's. And that's where we get to this. They've been running with story after story. For years, the pipe bomber got away with it because they just couldn't find who it was. Now, under the Trump administration, they finally found who they believe to be the pipe bomber. And it wasn't an inside job from all that they've been able to present so far. And MAGA's not happy about that. And then the next headline we got, they were going, okay, well, maybe it was a liberal and then maybe it was still inside job. Next headline we got was this Brian Cole Jr., who's the suspect who laid those pipe bombs, said he believed the election was stolen. Was he just another guy who believed what Trump was saying and then wanted to do violence because of it? No, that doesn't fit into their worldview. Where none of this could have been Trump's fault. And now we have this bombshell. Maybe this will answer it for them. DC pipe bomb suspect Brian Cole Jr. has secret online life obsessing over My Little Pony. That's the latest bombshell about this suspect. I didn't see these right-wing outlets reporting too much on the fact that he believed Trump's election lies. But maybe they'll report on this. Because you gotta admit, My Little Pony's looking fine in that MAGA hat. That's hilarious. The man accused of attempting to blow up both the Republican and Democratic National Committees in Washington, D.C. on January 5th, 2021, I guess he placed them on January 5th, but was a highly active My Little Pony fan. Brian Cole Jr. was seemingly obsessed with toys, marketed at young girls, creating art of plastic pony dolls, remixes of songs about them, and writing fan fiction dedicated to them. His works are spread across... His works... It's like a painter. His works are spread across various social media accounts linked to Cole's email address. Cole? And phone number. Let's look at some examples. I'm not cute, I'm deadly, says one My Little Pony. There's Brian. Posting as I Delta Velocity, Cole apparently uploaded 87 pictures of My Little Pony fan art at one forum, showing various pony and unicorn characters. One is depicted with a bionic leg brace, and he appears to favor pink or purple ponies with long, multicolored manes. So they're digging, and they're digging, and they're digging, and they don't want the headline to be MAGA does not want to have to accept that maybe it was just another person who believed Trump's lies and did something dangerous because of it. And so as they're digging, they dig so far, they dig right past that answer. Nope, we're not going to see that. And they decide they'll dig so deep that they get to he was a My Little Pony enthusiast. Which, yeah, I don't want to, maybe we have My Little Pony enthusiasts in the audience. I don't want to judge anyone. But, a Tumblr account focused on My Little Pony art, which used one of Cole's usernames, commented on a drawing of a pony with a machine gun. So this kind of makes sense. He was into My Little Ponies in a violent sense. I'd give her an RPG. What can I say? Explosions are cool. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like someone who would do a pipe bomb. It does. You're talking about My Little Pony with an RPG? Imagine that you're at the DNC and you go, oh my gosh, someone in a scary mask is walking up to our headquarters and is about to place a bomb, and then his jacket gets unzipped and he has a My Little Pony shirt on? That's very confusing. None of Cole's posts examined by the Post had any noticeable sexual connotations. Well, good. Well, thank you. Thank you for looking for that. One fan fiction story apparently authored by Cole showcases his bringing together of My Little Pony fantasy and horror. Let's see. Apple Bloom's eyes snapped open as she sat up in her bed, panting heavily and sweat dripping from her red mane. The skeletons, the zombified ponies rising up from the ground, their decaying bodies, rotting flesh, sliding off from their bones. She buried her face in her hooves, crying silently at the horrible images that inhabited her mind. Why wasn't this guy already in jail? Why wasn't he already in jail long before he could do the pipe bombs? I don't have a problem if you want to be into My Little Pony whenever, I guess. But if you're wanting the My Little Ponies to have large weapons, and you say explosions are cool, and you create fan fiction about dead My Little Ponies, jail. That's all we're going to do. It'll just be a simple rule, jail. You can have any of those individually. You can do random writing about dead ponies. You can like explosions, and you can like My Little Pony all separately. But if the Venn diagram crosses, prison. That's just the rule that we're going to have to prevent future things like this. Alex Jones was just so mad. that he was really mad because Brian Cole had a different favorite My Little Pony than he did. And he just was like, ooh, you like the purple one? Gross. No, he was upset because now the FBI is going, well, we don't have evidence that it was an inside job like we've been perpetuating for years on our various podcasts because our whole government is just a bunch of former podcasters. And Alex Jones is saying, why is Bongino 180ing? This is an inside job. Have I said subscribe in this segment? If you appreciate this, click the subscribe button. It makes a big difference.
I don't know if you remember this. This is before you became the deputy FBI director. You put a post on X right after this happened. And you said there's a massive cover up because the person that planted those pipe bombs, they don't want you to know who it is because it's either a connected anti-Trump insider or an inside job. You said that, you know, long before you were even thought of as deputy FBI director.
Yeah, that's why I said to you, this investigation's just begun. We are pretty comfortable. We have our guy. I think as again, legal process starts to surface and information, facts start to come out, the public's going to be very comfortable with the investigation that was conducted under Director Patel and his leadership. He's been great on this. But I don't want to, listen, I was paid in the past, Sean, for my opinions. That's clear. And one day I'll be back in that space. But that's not what I'm paid for now. I'm paid to be your deputy director. And we base investigations on facts. And, it was interesting. I was looking out in the crowd today at the presser, and I saw a couple of...
So that's the part, him going, well, now we're actually basing this on facts, not just me getting paid for my opinion. And Alex was not having it.
I already thought you were right because you've been right so much. But now this is open and shut. They've just completely convicted themselves in the court of public opinion, and we haven't even gotten started. I mean, this is villainous by Bongino. And now we see them going after patriots with the DOJ that people warned of, so I guess they'll probably indict us. Fine, go ahead, Bongino. Go ahead, Patel, because in the end, they're going to fry both of you. I cannot really believe that there are so many pussies in this country.
Whoa!
What do they think? They're going to go tell us the truth for all these years and 180, and we're supposed to sit there and eat this shit?
Alex, watch this. Are you ready? Because we had that clip.
You got to give it to him. He's entertaining. You got to give it to him. So, yeah, that's my point about some on the right just not being satisfied with the fact that maybe it's not all the fault of some national, I should say international intelligence operation to frame Trump and his supporters, but maybe he just lied a bunch about an election and convinced people that violence would be necessary to prevent him from having to leave office. All these years later, I was, 19 when I started making videos saying that about what Trump, I was saying, this is it. I was 19. I didn't know anything about life. Now I'm 23 and I got it. I got it figured out now. But I had figured out, I think what Trump was doing was bad. And all of you went on a long journey to try to disprove that, and you have fallen flat.